Good morning! Morning. How is everyone today? Let me adjust my camera a little bit, bring it up. All right. So, as we talked a little bit last week, we were going to do water base type of project today. So, I'm gonna put my coffee to cool down before I can take my first sip. Ooh, that's hot stuff. Alright. So we talked a little bit about, see if I can get this at a better angle there. Everything's all kind of discombobbled. I don't know what happened here. I might open up a curtain. Maybe I can get some outside light in this dungeon. A little bit better. All right. Brighten this up a little bit. There we go. A little different setup here. I think this is gonna make a few adjustments, fine tuning, yada yada yada, all that fun stuff. When you make changes, you always like, oh, I don't really like that anymore, or I can make this a little bit better. So, what I decided, we talked a little bit last week, we're going to use these water-based inks. I thought we were going to say alcohol inks, but no, that's alcohol pens. I don't really have any alcohol inks. A lot of these inks that I have here, well, I do have one. I think this is an alcohol-based ink. It's a gold metallic, kind of fun. But yeah, I've got my little bin here with all my alcohol-based inks. I'll bring it in a minute here. So, the picture is taped to the board already, and that's what we're going to use to color on today, or this week. Hopefully we can get it done in a week, right? The other one didn't really take a whole week. It took a lot longer. So we'll see how this all goes. I see a few buffering issues. It looks like, I don't know if it's just me. You guys let me know if you're having issues viewing my project here. But anyways, here the books that we're going to use. I'm not using this one, but I brought both of them out that I have. This is Camilla Errico, I believe how you say that. So she's got a bunch of pop manga books. Well, 3. I don't know if you'd say it a bunch, but there's a lot of pictures in here. I don't know if you can tell, but that's quite a thick book for coloring pages. And these are front to back, which is the kind that I don't care for, because depending on what medium you're using, it bleeds to the other side. So here's a quick little flip through of the books. Very cool stuff in here. I like her design. She's quite detailed, and as you can see, some of them show sketchings and stuff like that in there, so it's kind of cool. So that's the Mermaids one. I also have Cute and Creepy book, which does not have a sleeve on it. The other one does. And I put piece of paper, which you can't see, which page I'm using today. But yeah, she's got a lot of really cool stuff. Kind of already grayscaling in some of these pictures, as you can tell, to help you out with your shadows and stuff. So it's not just a flat picture. She really puts a lot of detail in these pictures, so it's amazing. My daughter loves these books. She's pretty much colored the entire Cute and Creepy, I believe. She may have a few pages that she just does not want to tackle. She's 9, so what do? You just skip them, I guess. And these are not cheap books. Here's the page that I'm working on today. This is the Nine-Tail Fox. I think it's Nine-Tail 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, Nine-Tail Fox. That's what I thought. The Nine-Tail Fox. And so what I do was I have a scanner. I scanned it into my computer and I printed it out. So this is much bigger than the original picture. It also has some shading over here, which is just because it's a book. I didn't break the book apart and lay the sheets flat. I, cranked it open as far as I could, applied enough pressure so it wouldn't break my scanner, but also make the page as flat as possible to try to reduce the graying on the side. Hey, Shavilla, thanks for the follow. I hope you enjoy our show today. Or not Shaville, Scott, excuse me. Sorry. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong order of my schedule. I am so sorry. What we're going to do here is we're going to do a little bit of water-based inks. And I got my cup here. I don't know how far we'll get. We're only keeping this to an hour. Because sometimes this stuff can get a little bit boring. So that's why we try not to go too long. I am thinking of doing the background first. Just trying to debate what colors I should use today. As far as the background, I don't plan my colors ahead too much. I just kind of go as it feels, Whereas some people like all swatched out and has a bunch of pages of what colors they're planning on doing and where they're putting them all out. I'm not that much of a pre-planner. I just kind of go by feel as I'm going through the pages. I am not very prepared today. I did not get all my brushes out today. Yeah, most of the stuff ready. I'm going to use this brush. This is a silver black velvet brush for our wash. And I got this guy that I'm going to put my inks in. And I'll need my dropper. I think that'll be it. Just a basic little dropper. Nothing too fancy about this guy. Yeah. Roll away. So that's what I'm going to use just to get the background done. This is watercolor paper. I'll show you the kind that I have here. It's from Hobby Lobby. And this is a very big coloring pad, of course. It's 15 sheets, 140 pounds, 12 by 18 inches. I picked the big one because when I was looking at size comparison and price, just getting the bigger one worked better versus getting the smaller sheets, because the price comparison, I can take that and I can cut it down to the size that I want that will fit in my printer and then print that up. Try to figure out where I want to put it. I'll just put this up there for now. I will cut it down, put it through my printer, and paint on it, which is exactly what I did here. I have another one that I did yesterday, same person that I did a picture from, scanned it the other day and printed it up. It's sized funny, but I think overall it turned out pretty good. I need to work at my printer settings, but you know what? Sometimes it just works and be happy. If it doesn't work at all, I guess you're gonna stuck, but sloppy drink. Alright, I'm gonna set this aside for a second and I'm gonna show you my bin that I have for my alcohol inks. And well, not alcoholic inks, just water-based inks. These are some alcohol inks that I have for refills and stuff, but quite a bit of ink choices that we have here. It's been a minute since I've used a lot of these. So we got red. What else looks good for, well, foxes are obviously more of a reddish, orangey, yellowy kind of colors in there. So I'm still debating on which kind of background. I mean, blue sounds really good. also kind of like a green. This is more of a blue-green on here, as you can kind of tell. This one's a much brighter grass green. That might work. Let's set that aside for now. Also have this. Let's use the dirt. It's been a minute since I've used these. Reseda. This is a graphics watercolor ink. Now, the point of a lot of inks is, well, the intention of a lot of the inks is to be permanent. So if you re-wet them, they don't reactivate, and so you can lift and change those. So, let me see. I don't know. Either ink. Well, we can actually probably combine the inks. This one's a little bit darker than the other, and this one's quite bright. So we could probably blend the two together and make a nice project on that. This bin here also goes with my inks. That's why they're in the same spot. But I've got some writing tools in here. I did a lot with Inktober, so that's why I've got a lot of these inks and stuff in here. Some other random brushes and stuff, but not so much anymore. I just heard something I didn't really care for about the guy that started it, and I mean, whether what I heard is true or not, it just kind of, you know, sets wrong. It was basically where one guy thought that he was stealing his work out of his book that he created before the Inktober guy did. Jake Parker created a book, and the guy that had created one before him had a lot of similar concepts, a lot of similar drawings and pictures and all that other stuff in there. And so he was arguing the fact that Jake Parker had copied his stuff. Anyways, I don't know if that so much is true, but you know, if you hear something like that, it just makes you want to be like, I'm not sure if I want to be part of this. So I'm gonna mix up these inks and see if maybe I can multitask. These inks have been a minute since they have done anything. So I don't really want to do the bells, but maybe what I can do is still paint the bells and then use something over the top of them. I don't know. We'll try it. We'll go over the bells. And I'm just gonna wet down my paper, which this is not the non-exciting part, but I'm gonna wet it down just like you would with watercolor. Doing a watercolor wash. I know I kind of went over his foot a little bit, but I want to make sure I get, see, this page is already lifting, which is normal. Normal. Over here. Now I want to make sure where I'm putting my greens, it's going to be quite saturated with water. So you kind of have to go over a couple of times with especially thicker paper to make sure that water retention is there, because it soaks it up and then it seems to dry so goofily fast. I do have some masking fluid. I could go around here and mask off certain areas, but but the reason why I didn't is I didn't want the masking fluid to be on there for a long period of time. Because masking fluid, well, it's like a glue. And if it's on something long enough, it's either going to leave a residue or it's going to take with it the paper or whatever it's sitting on. So that's why I didn't want to use any masking fluid on this one. This tape that's on here might already do that anyways, but it's the outside, so I'm not too worried about it. Middle of the picture, taking up part of the picture with it when I peel it off would just make me sad. I think we're pretty saturated on everywhere we need to go on here. You can I don't know if you can tell, the water is looking a little muddy, like right here. It's taking up part of the ink from my printer and spreading it around. I'm not too worried about it. I don't have a ink printer. I have a LaserJet printer, which is the powdered ink that kind of gets heated up or burned into the paper or whatever. I like those LaserJet printers for several reasons. Not for this, but main reason is the ink's already dry, and if I don't use my printer for several months, I don't have, when I go back to it again in the future, I'm not great. My ink's dried out because I didn't use it for so long, and now I have to go buy new ink, and then I'll buy new ink, fill it all up, do whatever project that I have, which may only be a couple pages, and then not look at my printer again for several months again. And then rinse and repeat. It's aggravating. So that's why I like LaserJet. And this last ink is not shaking up very good. I think that's good enough. Alright. So that is pretty wet. I am going to use my dropper here. I'm going to put a couple of drops in here. I'm going to put a few over here just in case if I need some more. And then rinse. I don't need to rinse too much, but there's that. Put that off to the side, and then I got this Bombay. They have the droppers on them, but the set that I got, the droppers don't always work very good, but I think this one might be a decent one. A few drops in there, and this one I'm just going to skip a spot and put that there in case I need the darker green for something. Alright, so I am going to actually add some extra water in here, kind of dilute it a bit. There we go. And then mix it up. So it's not as dark as the other green, not as light as the first green. So I'm just going to kind of come in here with my brush and just paint the background. I'm not too worried about getting over the tail any. Because even if I use any yellow, well, mixing it up with green is not going to make it too muddy later on. So I guess I do a little bit of future planning, but not as much as others. So, Scott, did you enjoy your weekend? Or whoever else is in the room with us today? I'm gonna come back over here. It's kind of drying out a smidge. Oh, I almost went in the dark green, but I may do that later. This paper is still pretty wet, so that's good. It's drying out over here a smidge. I can kind of tell like when my brush, as it's going over some of the sections in the paper, it just kind of skips a few spots. See? You can't really tell that well, but yeah, it just kind of skips a few spots. So, I don't, oops, want to get the fox too wet. Take up some of that. Okay. All right. I'm gonna kind of wet it a little bit. But the point of inks is if you, after it's fully dried, it stays put. You doesn't reactivate, doesn't lift. So if you do something again to it later, it's permanent. A lot like oil ink, oil-based ink, acrylic, that kind of thing. Once the acrylic dries, you go over it with another layer on something. It doesn't really go anywhere. So I'm going to try to create some variables, just some random little taps, tap, 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 you know. And with the water, just kind of making it bloom out a little bit. I want to make it a little bit darker here. There's a few that's right, blended out. See, when it more wet the page is, the faster it blooms out. I do have a bit of a pool right here. I'm going to soak up. Always keep paper towels handy. So satisfying watching that ink bloom out. I do have my fan all ready to go if I ever need to dry it off. I like it. I wonder if I should move my water. Let me know if I need to move my water, because I just realized my water is right next to my microphone. I don't know if that's annoying or not. This is the lighter green. Just kind of going in some blots to add a little bit of brightness, obviously, or yellows to our background here. And going in with this with marker take a long time, several layers probably, to make sure it had a nice, smooth, flat finish. You know what? I wonder if we should go in with another color while it's wet. Kind of add flowers, so to speak. What about a nice magenta? Because, I mean, the Nine-Tailed Fox does actually have a bit of a sadistic story behind it. I don't think I'll dilute this one. aside. I need a drink. Coffee. Alrighty. Brush a little bit, get some of that green out of there. Tap, 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 tap. Almost dipped it in some green. I kind of like the red pops of color. They're not blossoming out as much as the green because a lot of this has dried. In some areas it's doing pretty good. But I think I can tell that there's not a lot of shine left on the paper, but I think that looks pretty good. Little flower buds or something kind of there, but not quite there. Yeah, I like it. And that was pretty easy. Yeah, I think we'll do something else with the bells or something. Something I can probably go over the top with that'll hide the green. I'll turn my fan on here. Kind of dry up that paper. Yeah. Shoot, at this rate, I'll probably get to the other page about halfway through the week. Because this is, well, we're half an hour in. But yeah, I just want that to dry up a little bit here. Oh, let's see. I gotta play with something here real quick while I'm just sitting here waiting. I'm gonna do like a little test swatch with these inks real quick. And off camera later on, I'm gonna mess around. This is the same paper. This is just one of those pictures that I did yesterday. Preparing for this that I printed out, and I had some extra width or whatever. So I just trimmed that off that other page. Definitely digging that background. Bells are pretty much dry. obviously, because I haven't touched them since I put the green wash down. Yep, that's wet. The recessed areas, the areas that are down, which you can probably tell there's a raised spot here, a raised spot here. This is definitely raised. And here, a lot of it is this board. I got this board this weekend, but I don't know if you can tell, but it has a bit of a warp in the middle. So I noticed it last night after I got this taped on there and prepped. So what I did is I took 2 jewelry boxes or something, and put them on the sides and left the center hanging, no support, and then I put a few heavy objects on the middle to try to bend it back down. I don't think it did anything. Doesn't look like it. And this is plastic, I do believe. Well, plastic and wood. So I'm kind of debating. It starts getting really nice. I don't know, it still kind of seems like plastic. I can't really tell. And I don't have the paper anymore that gives the description of the clipboard. I got it from Hobby Lobby, so I could probably find it online and get the description off of it. But what I was thinking, coffee break. What I was thinking is, on one of these hot summer days that are soon to be coming, but not soon enough, I'm gonna have stick that out in the sun. Lay it down on a flat piece of sidewalk that I got by my house, or leading from my house to the garage, and just let the sun cook it. Kind of just heat it up, because as you know, as things get warm, things get soft and pliable. So if I heat it up in the sun, let it kind of cook it to get that warp out of there, I'll have less water pooling in the sides, and that's why I'm having all this. So it's not a huge issue because it's not a huge warp, but it has a little bit of a bend to it. So I have a lot of stream element pop-ups. I'm kind of wondering if maybe I should space out the durations for them. I think that would probably be a good idea. I don't know if they're a little too annoying, too in your face. We'll make that adjustment. Still fairly wet. So I have this gold alcohol ink. This is alcohol ink. Acid free. Yep. Alcohol ink, definitely. I even have some of these mica powders or whatever. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with them. Oh, it just dawned on me, my background looks like Christmas. We are well beyond Christmas. Or at least the recent one. We got another one coming up. Oh, gosh. It seems like the older you get, the sooner things come along. I mean, goodness gracious. St. Patrick's Day. My goodness, that's 10 days away. Right? St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day. Where is that on my calendar here? Oh, let's see. Yeah, March 17th. That's what I thought. I'm like, my gosh. Ah, there. I freed the ball. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? I freed the ball out of there. It took a while to shake it off and get the ball freed from the sediment. I am definitely going to have to switch to a different brush. I'm going to put this brush aside. I'm going to get new water because, yeah, it's dirty. Now, technically, you should have a rinse brush and a wash brush or whatever. I'm bad. I am bad when it comes to that. Alright. Oh, get back in a position here. Okay. So, alcohol dries fast. So what I'm gonna do a little bit at a time on here, and I'm going to, it's fairly dry. The bells are definitely dry. So I'm going to put a little bit of alcohol ink on here. I could, ooh, excuse me, sorry. I could dilute it a little bit, not with water, but I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna go with this bell over here. I'm gonna kind of paint this in. See that? I'm so sorry. You can't even see it. It really got covered up my lines quite a bit. Okay, let me get you zoomed into over here a little bit. Really hope you can't hear this scratchiness. This brush here, just a cheapo one. One that I got from a cheap watercolor set. Nothing fancy about it. So if this brush gets ruined with this alcohol ink, I'm not worried. I don't care. Brushes can get ruined. Just don't ruin the good ones. Which is the first brush that I used on here that, oh, the silver brush. Silver brush is good stuff. I think it is made out of squirrel hair? Real hair. I can't remember. Horrible. I used to know what they were made out of. I used to pay attention a lot about where my art supplies were coming from, why I got them, all that other good stuff. My alcohol ink over here. My jar is drying up, which is to be expected. That's what's going to happen. And that covered up those bells. Oh, off camera again. Bad. Bad camo. Bad camo. I know I had talked about last week doing some gaming on Friday evening with my little one, and that didn't happen. We didn't do it until Sunday. I do apologize if that's what you were expecting and didn't see that. It just, I don't know, it just sometimes, it just doesn't work out, and I'm sure you can understand that. And that's another reason why I have not. There's a slight bit of gold on that bell. There is a bell right there, but it got cut off in the printing process. Where was I going with that? So yeah, it just didn't obviously work out. Camera again. Oh, I wish I had somebody saying, hey, you're off camera. You're off camera. But yeah, look at that. I didn't put much on there, and that stuff is dry on there. Okay, just a couple of drops. Not that I'm trying to have this go a long way, but I suppose you could say that I am trying to have it go a long way. I don't want to end up drying out on my palette here and ending up having to wash it all down the drain because I can't use it anymore or don't have any projects that I can re-wet it or rework it. But I have had it for a while. Nothing wrong with having art supplies for a while. A professional organizer did state one time, if you haven't used it in a year, mark it and like put a label on it last time you used it. And if you haven't used it in a year, label it again 6 months out or something like that. And if you don't use it in 6 months, get rid of it. I can see that with some things. Not everything. I kind of disagree with that. Yes, it is good to go through your stuff, get rid of what you're not using, reorganize what you're not using or have set aside for other projects or other situations or whatever the case may be. But I'm sure we all have had something where you looked at it like, oh, I don't really use this. Should I get rid of it? Should I not get rid of it? I need another drop or two. We are out of ink again. That's okay. I'm going to do one drop because that might be enough. But if you got rid of it a year and a half after you looked at it or messed with it or whatever, and then it could even be like a week after you get rid of it, you're like, oh man, had this art supply or had this shirt or these shorts or this pot or pan from a kitchen that now I have a use for it again. Oh, I gotta go out and buy a new one because I got rid of it. Which can happen. And it has happened to me. That is for sure. I am going to do... I have a brown in here. There's a nice brown. This ink I know for a fact does not, this is Winsor Newton. I know for a fact that once you get it wet, it dries, it stays. I also have some Inktense pencils, which those do the same thing. Once they dry, they stay. And I only have the pencils. I want the blocks so bad. I want to go in there and use blocks for some of my things. But they're just not in my budget. I hate to say it, just not in my budget. A lot of the stuff that I have on my Amazon wish list is stuff that I really would like to have for my budget and whatnot, to mess around with, and do art with and stuff, but sometimes you just can't afford it. That's just life. Okay, so I'm gonna put a drop here. Yeah, I don't think I'll need anything more than that. Look at this. It's like foamy right there on the top. I haven't used this one much. But the reason why I got this one is because it's got a very deep red hue to it. And I'll set that here. Add some water to it. Has a deep red hue to it, and it would be good for skin tones, so I can dilute it and whatnot. It'll be good for skin tones. Let me grab this piece of paper out here. And this is still pretty thick, but it's not bad color for a skin tone. Add more water, you lighten it up more, of course. Less water, you make it darker, of course. And I did have a water brush. Here it is. Here's a water brush I made with it. A lot of it with that ink, but it's got some of the colors I mixed in there, and there's some white, which you can kind of see the white sticking to the outside of this water brush. Kind of sucks, because that white is like really chunky, and it not only settles and sticks to everything, but it also clogs the tip on that. So where oh, la 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 la, what am I trying to think here? Clogs the tip on that where it's hard for it to feed through. And so I'm constantly taking it apart, cleaning it out. Let's see if I can do gradient with these. I don't know how well the paper would work since it's still kind of warped and buckled over here, but you know, kind of like that color swatch, it had a bit of a fade out effect to it. But if I let some of the ink bubble in areas that I think should be in shadow or darker, and then I dry that way, then it would be more of a concentration of the ink in that spot. So then that way, I don't have to go back in there and try to add another layer. I mean, I still might have to anyways. Sometimes there's just no avoiding it. It's gonna have to be done. That's what they call them, washes and glazes and whatever else you want to call it for a watercolor. And sometimes I just want to get the job done. But yeah, I don't know if I want to do the next project with the other page that I had printed out. If we get this one done early, or if we should skip over to digital art, you know? Work on something in there. Because this one right here that we're working on, not this particular picture, but this coloring style, painting style, was one that I was really wanting to do. For the last couple of weeks or so. Sorry, I got focused. Got my monitor right here in the corner of my eye. And I don't know if it's just me, but I see something popping up at the bottom of the screen every once in a while. I don't know what's going on here. Goodness gracious. The background is pretty much done. Oops, kind of went out of the line there. You can't tell. I mean, look at that. That is almost an hour's worth of streaming. I know there was an extra few minutes in there in the beginning with my opening page, but that's almost worth an hour's worth of streaming, and look at how much we've gotten done. I mean, sometimes the background takes a long time to get done, but doing the wash, getting the page wet, grabbing a solid color just to paint over the top of it, just getting that done. Got it done quite quickly. Same thing with the keeping it wet and doing the blotches of the greens and the red. I got it done pretty darn quickly. Now, we're definitely going to be spending more time on the fox, focusing on him, her, it. Definitely going to do that. But we might use the same concept. It'll get quite a bit done. Yeah, I didn't even touch the bell on the fox right now. We might do that in a little bit different manner. I mean, it was still fun with the other bells with the gold and stuff, but those bells are background accents. They're not necessarily the main focus like the nine-tailed fox is. So I might do that one a little bit differently. I'll have to debate on that. Like I was saying earlier, I just don't plan ahead. And as you can see, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I didn't plan ahead for like, what did I want to do the background? I said, well, let's do the background, get that out of the way first. So then my focus can dial into something else next, which is exactly what it does. Sometimes when you're looking at a coloring page, you see this big old white piece of paper with all these lines all over the place. You're like, I don't know where to start. Pick a spot. Start there. It could be something simple like, well, I know I can fill in this tree trunk really easy and get it done and out of the way. Get the tree trunk done. Or, oh, I know this grass right here. I'm just going to knock out the grass. Or, here, I'm really good with faces and stuff. I'm going to get the skin and the faces out of the way. Once you get one thing out of the way, the rest is easy. It's just picking that first thing that you want to do. Even if it's just an easy thing. Once you get the easiest thing out of the way, the rest of it's easy. It's getting that first page in front of you and looking at it. Assess where you want to go as far as where you're starting. Starting points can be hard. Pick a spot and then get it done, and then the rest of it's going to be easy. As far as the fox, she put a lot of shading in it, as you can tell. So I don't know if we'll need to do too much with it, but I do want to add extra, of course. So we're probably going to use the same technique that we did for the other. Do a wash for it, and then go in with glazing, going over the top and adding layers and definition and stuff. One of my things with the color swatch here is to see what this alcohol ink or what this ink does once it dries. 99% sure the brown one is not going to do anything, which has no merit on what I'm going to do now, but because I don't have any other Winsor Newton water-based ink. It's just that one. But the other ones, I have a lot of the Bombay, the Doc Martens Bombay ink, and so I'm thinking of going through those and just double checking, making sure if I re-wet them, are they going to reactivate like watercolors? If they do, okay, then I know what to expect. If they don't, then I know what to expect. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Because when you rework watercolors, you could end up with hard lines. And so you gotta be careful with that. You can end up with hard lines with ink if it doesn't reactivate, but there's ways around it to avoid that from happening. But it's a lot easier to prevent the hard lines if the colors underneath don't reactivate. So it's like these bloom effects with this grass. If the color underneath doesn't rework, and you got to end up with a hard line developing before it stops, before it dries, you can wet the paper on the other side of the hard line to kind of get it to feather it out. Or you can use your brush to kind of pick it up and stuff. But there's just a different way of handling it. But that, I think, is my time for the day. I need to get to the real work. I hope you enjoyed this quick little thing today. Getting our nine-tailed fox started. And who knows? Maybe we'll end up with getting it done tomorrow. What do you think? Would that be... I think that would certainly be entertaining. Oh, gosh. First page I do takes 2 weeks. And then the second page I do 2 days. Huge difference. Of course, a lot of it wasn't streaming constantly. But, yeah. I think this will be fun. Thanks for watching. Get that follow button on there so you know when I start streaming again. Like I said, I am still working on a schedule. I am trying Monday through Friday in the mornings, doing some streaming for an hour, and then in the evenings, possibly, depending on the household, doing some streaming in the evening. That could be something completely different. It could be gaming instead, or if there's little tidbits of the current project we're working on, get that done out of the way. But we'll see. We'll see. There's so many things to work in the mix or the lineup, and see what works. I mean, I enjoy coloring. I hope you enjoyed this quick little process here, because this I certainly thought was fun. Thank you again. We'll see you in the next one, and you have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, and be safe.